is it like?
So the best way to do that is, have you heard of WhatsApp?
Yeah, I have WhatsApp.
Do you have Signal? Signal app.
I don't have Signal, no.
I'm gonna text it through the chat. So WhatsApp has something called end-to-end encryption.
Yeah.
When you see it on it. This is a very important thing. That means it is very secure.
But it requires that my client also have WhatsApp, right?
Yes, it does require that.
Okay.
But WhatsApp can be downloaded as a desktop app.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I have WhatsApp on my desktop too.
How about
and there's
like internet self-destructing note links that exist?
I mean, so once you get it, I mean, if you post something on the internet through the normal internet, and if someone is interested in it, they will be able to get it. It's how obscure is it?
I don't know. Yeah.
But these messaging apps like Signal, like WhatsApp, they're one-to-one tunnels. So it's only you and your client. So you should, they should be okay using a WhatsApp or something like this.
Yeah.
And I just posted in the chat the Signal app. Signal app is what's used by the U.S. military and the NSA for communication between. So and these are called open source systems. By open source means they announce to the world what cryptography you're using, and you can verify that it works. They're not hiding some sort of a scam or something, because again, software is so unstable. They use other programmers who are nerds, have nothing better to do but just to test systems to verify that it's working. So you should trust in that. So I have Signal as a desktop app on my Mac, and I have WhatsApp as a desktop app, and I can have phone calls with clients. But if I want to send a specific document, it's probably going to go through these apps that I said, or that I discuss, sensitive information, not through Zoom.
Because Facebook owns WhatsApp, I always shied away from sending sensitive information, because I thought if someone hacks in through Facebook, or is that not relevant because end-to-end encryption is rock solid no matter who the holder, the company holding it is.
Yeah, it's rock solid if you always update to the latest version.
Okay.
So Facebook does own WhatsApp, but yeah, end-to-end means it's if me and Audrey or me and Betty talk, it's only me and Betty who have access. Facebook would have the servers that routed the information, but when they look at the information as it goes through their servers, they have no clue what's in it because they don't have the keys that me and Betty have. So end-to-end encryption is a good thing. And on that note, there's something called the Electronic Frontiers Foundation. It's a website that I think people should be. I'll find. Electronic Frontiers.
My apologies. I have to run. I feel terrible. Don't want to interrupt you. So,
That's okay.
So thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And I'll reach out if I need you. Okay.
Sure.
You can watch the rest of it when we post it on Facebook.
Oh, you're doing recording. I see. Okay, great. Thanks so much. So long.
Take care, Betty. Bye.
I just appreciate the flexibility that Android has. But I'm using, like a Samsung, so it's a larger company. It's not, I guess like most Androids come from like fairly large companies, but I have a Mac computer, and so there's like limited integration there between the two of them. So what kind of sensitive information should I be concerned about using on my phone that I can have more confidence using on my Mac?
So you definitely don't want to move to iPhone.
No,
is that the case?
I will not.
Okay, so you're making a decision right now. And again, I don't own any stocks in Apple. It's just.
I believe you.
Yeah, the thing with Samsung, so Samsung is one company, Android is another company, but
yeah.
Okay, I'll give an example of why could this be dangerous. Because Apple controls the software and the hardware, when we build apps for our clients, an iOS app, it has to go through some sort of a verification process before it goes live. That means Apple vets it, does some work on it. With Android, theoretically, anybody can deploy any app they want. Does
it go through a verification process through Google?
It goes through Google Play, but you can get Android apps from Amazon, from different stores.
So I just make sure I download only through Google Play.
Yes,
okay.
And make sure you download an app that's well known, and make sure you download that has good rankings on it. Do not download anything obscure. There's something called jailbreaking, which which is a way for someone to maybe send you a weird link or something, and through that, they become a super user on your phone. Do not do that. Do not open up fishy emails. It's easier to jailbreak an Android than to jailbreak an iPhone.
Okay.
If you reach a point where you say, you know what, I'm definitely not going to move over to iPhone, you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware that the potential of someone breaking into your system is much higher. I don't know the percentage, but it's higher than if you were all iOS.
And it's higher because the software and hardware are not built by the same people, or it's higher because
Exactly.
more people
Exactly.
have
That's it.
Android?
It's because it's not built by the same people.
So is it the same as like the problem with when like PCs always got viruses versus Macs?
Exactly. Yeah. Very good analogy. So Microsoft,
Yeah.
this is a philosophy in fact technology. Steve Jobs was saying, I love software so much, I'm going to build my own hardware for it. Bill Gates' philosophy is that no, software should be hardware agnostic. Software should work with everything they do. So then Windows would have like a generic layer where it says, if it's an Acer, I should do this. If it's IBM, I should do this. If it's this, I should do this. But then with Apple, I know exactly what hardware I'm working with. I can optimize the hell out of it. And
Yeah.
that layer of mixing the hardware with the software is where hackers attack the most. Because they don't care about a specific app they're using. They want to come in.
I want to be, cognitive of, securing my client's information.
So there's no
Yeah.
nobody can tell you it's 100% secure. That person is lying. We can make it very high, but I mean, anybody telling you it's 100% secure, that's impossible. Nothing is
Right.
100% secure.
Mm-hmm.
You should expect that fact that at some point someone will be hacking it or might be able to hack it. So you should defend for that or prepare for that. I mean, if you want, I can look at it. I can see what system are you using. Do you use any backup system or any, like, how do you back up to the cloud?
Yeah, I have an external hard drive that I back up to, and it's set to back up every day at a specific time. So it's backing up automatically.
So that external
Yeah.
hard drive is in your office or your apartment, and then it backs up to its own cloud.
Yes.
Okay. There's a system called Backblaze. I was recommended to these guys. I highly recommend that one. We buy storage in the cloud.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the name of it?
Backblaze. If you put in your information, like email address, I'll send you a link, an invite to it.
Okay.
It'll save me some money, and it'll save you too.
Okay.
Just full disclaimer. I'm benefiting from this. Yeah. Basically it plugs in and installs as like an app in your Windows or Mac, and does the backup automatically on your behalf.
That's like
Okay.
same as Carbonite.
Yeah.
So
My
Ahmed,
Audrey, yes, tell me.
so in the event description, it says simple tips and tricks to improve presence online. If anyone on the call listening is trying to develop a website or has interest in doing that, any considerations to prevent like a DDoS or some other attack downstream by kind of making smarter choices at point of creating a website, like WordPress versus non-WordPress, choose this server or host versus this other host, use Google domains versus just general hygiene as far as the initial steps?
That's a very good question. Well, I mean, we build websites. I don't know if your budget is big enough to work with us, but DDoS is a big deal. That's the distributed denial of service. Basically, it's a way for someone to flood the website with requests saying, CNN.com, CNN.com. I'm trying to load it, so many of it, that it crashes. Well-known server-side or cloud computing platforms have part of their service is a defense against that. You'd have to set it up, but it's a defense against DDoS. So, Squarespace is a good one, I should say. Wix is a good one. It's a thing for, if it's a small, freelancer thing, like, your one-man shop, you can use one of those websites. We use Amazon Web Services, but when we deploy a website on it, we're deploying a website that has financial data, that has cybersecurity. But part of the defense is blocking, if I see more than 10,000 requests per second coming from the Northeast, I lock it down or something like this. You shouldn't over-engineer, because you're not a bank. But Squarespace is a good place. Wix too. WordPress, I mean, I don't know that much about. I haven't used WordPress in a long time. But like, I don't know if that answers your question, Bruno.
Yeah, I guess the thing, to my understanding, if anyone uses Wix, Squarespace, or any of these things, you're basically forking over the rights to anything that you're producing, and they own basically your content and anything. They're not going to necessarily use it for nefarious purposes, but if you do grow big, I don't know how easy it is to kind of transfer off of Squarespace or Wix onto your own and take all that stuff with you.
So if that's an intellectual property question, I'm not the right person to answer. That's a lawyer's question.
Right.
There are lawyers for intellectual property.
Exactly.
No, transferring it over from a technical perspective is not that hard. Usually when a company goes big, they go to Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud Computing. And there are ways for the system, for the new system, AWS, to come in and just suck up whatever's there. There's ways to streamline it. You should hire people to do that for you, but there are ways to do it. But if it's about intellectual property, that's different.
Right. As far as choosing the right server, though, is there one that's safer than the other? Like, what is it? Something Gator versus another one. This one that basically allows for the functionality of thousands of people around the world accessing your website, so that it doesn't crash if you get too many customers visiting it.
That's the DDoS. So I mean, you're talking to some somewhat advanced technology. Are you a programmer?
No, I've gone to some intros on that, but I don't know. I guess I've seen Shark Tank, and they say our website crashed because we had too many people visit it at once. Trying to buy after the TV show or something like that.
Right. So you should not use obscure systems for this. Again, Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress, very well-known websites, because someone else built enough systems underneath that to defend this kind of thing. If you go off and you try to build your own thing because you read a template or something, you probably will make a mistake.
That's true. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you understand the philosophy behind it.
I do.
Yeah, because you should. I mean, I've never heard a Gator. I've heard of something along those lines, but that should be encapsulated away from the user.
Thank you.
No problem. Karen, was somebody saying something? Or should I move on? I was gonna talk about one big thing is never trust email from people you don't know. Spam is there for a reason. Number one. Number two, you should regularly go through your spam folder to see. You might have received some email that it was tagged as spam, but it's not. So as you go through your email, think of it as an AI. There's an artificial intelligence aspect happening here. You can train the spam to become better. So maybe once every month, I skim through my spam folder to find out, oh, this is not spam. And then if I get a normal email and I want to spam it, I just label it as spam, and then it adapts to you. But don't trust emails. What was I going to talk about?
Is there a way to verify email? Like, for example, and Michael, not to pick on you or anything, but like Michael emailed me earlier asking for information about this event, and I didn't want to accidentally let somebody in who had negative intention, but is there any way for you to like verify somebody's email account? I mean, it came from a Gmail account, but it's a relatively generic email, so it could be.
The answer is somewhat no.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you thought about the Gmail, like look at the email address and say if it's an obscure email. But even if it's a Gmail account, it could be a weird email. But yeah, the answer is no. But as with everything, look for mainstream systems that they're using. Gmail, Hotmail, but some obscure thing, gmail.org instead of gmail.com, that would raise a flag for me or something like this.
Well, ultimately, I figured if Michael was planning on causing some sort of chaos, it would be a good introduction to what not to do for you to tell me.
Okay.
All right.
I was a safe bet.
I was like, it's either going to go really poorly and we'll use that as a jumping off point, or it's going to be fine.
I wanted Betty to stay in because I was going to answer some of the questions. He was asking about if you send an email and you want to recall it, is that possible or not? Connected to your question or on the same thread. So when you send something in the internet, it's kind of going to be there if someone wants to find it. recalling it really doesn't work unless, theoretically it will work if the other person's computer is offline, and then you do the recall. But you should be very careful before you type something. It'll come back in the future.
I mean, I remembered like at some job I would have, and they would have, they would send out an email like the secretary or something, and then 5 minutes later they would recall it. And the recall, all it was a big cross out, like a big line against them. I'm like, well, I could still read this email. But,
exactly, yeah. So it really doesn't work.
No.
Which is why technology is not the best for everything, honestly.
Certainly not the best for communication. If you're gonna.
I'll give you a secret about our firm. We don't work that much with startups because a lot of them, everybody thinks it's about to split the atom, and they have interesting ideas, but execution is hard, and a lot of them are not funded, and they have to go to pivot. They have to change so many times what they're trying to do to get to something that makes sense to everybody. Meaning that we have the technical capacity to build complex systems. Is the interaction normal for the human? Is the technology easily accessible to the human? That's a different beast altogether. And a lot of ideas, because the execution is confusing for my grandmother, your grandmother. She's confused by it. So.
Well, my grandmother has been dead for 20 years, so she's really confused by it. But now I have to, I'm sorry, Ahmad, I really have to go now because
Oh, the chicken, of course, you want to burn it.
The chicken. I can't help the chicken, but thank you so much for coming. I hope we see you again soon.
Definitely, thank you.
They're at the 6:30 mark, but I'm happy to stay on if other people are willing to, and if you're willing to, or if there was a really good question you got on your list from our group earlier that we haven't addressed yet.
Yeah, I mean the email recall, it does.
We are the Hackstronauts. We are inventors, explorers, daredevils. And yes, human guinea pigs. We are true believers and virulent skeptics. We are the crazy people that throw ourselves off of moving bandwagons. Hacking is a way of life for us. We see hacks everywhere. On our computer screens, in our homes, cars, workplaces. And even when we look in the mirror. There is nothing so well designed or high functioning that a hack can't make it. Faster. Stronger. Smarter. Better. Some will say we're cheats, line cutters and outlaws. But we just like to trash rule books. The world is already so full of should. We're going to fill it with could.
It matters that you worked hard. It matters that you put in the long hours, but you got injured or became ill, and now you can't work. The bills keep coming. That's the time to find out about your legal rights. That's when winning matters most. If you have a legal matter that you're ready to have an experienced and winning legal team help you with, please call